Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. It's Dave with you. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to come on here on the podcast and have a chat with you. So I'm inviting you to grab your favorite cup of coffee, whatever you got, and let's just sit down, the two of us. And I want to talk about something that's really relevant with what's going on in the world right now. I want to check in with you, see if you're okay, and talk a little bit about what we owe our audience when things go really bad in the world. What do we owe to the people who listen and watch our podcast when the news is just horrible? Do we owe our audience anything? If we have a podcast that talks about something completely unrelated to what's happening in the news, do we owe our audience our thoughts, our perspective, a check-in like I'm doing with you right now? Do we owe that to our audience, or do we just completely ignore it and just move on like nothing's happened? It's just something I'm thinking about in the moment. I thought of you. I wanted to jump on and just talk about this. We've talked about it in our meetup group just recently, and they had some great feedback around this, great conversation around this. And again, you weren't there potentially for that meetup conversation. You should, by the way, come to our meetup, howtopodcast.ca. It's all there. I'd love to have you there. We talked about it in a meetup group, and again, I just thought I'd like to jump on and share my thoughts with you. Maybe it's just to spark conversation, to spark your thoughts, but also when you approach your podcast, where is that line where we feel compelled to speak to our audience, maybe outside of the regular context of what we talk about on our show, but address what's happening in our world? Do we owe it to our listeners, or do we just ignore it? I'm leaning towards acknowledging it, sharing my perspective, which you might completely disagree with, which is completely fine. I'm not here to win anybody over by any means, but I'm wrestling with a few things at the same time, and I wanted to chat with you. So thank you for pressing play, and let's just kind of get into a little bit of what I'm mentally thinking through right now, and maybe this will help you as I kind of mentally unpack this for myself at the same time. Again, thanks for being here. Recently, and I did an episode about this, one of the long-term podcasters in podcasting from day one, Mr. Todd Cochrane, passed away. And it was completely unexpected because this gentleman just has been showing up thousands of episodes, showing up at podcast conferences, being a part of the conversation, helping to steer the ship of podcasting for so long, and without any warning passed away. And there was no final goodbye. There was no final closing off of the show. It's like I'm waiting for the next episode, but it's just not going to come. It's just not going to happen. Todd is gone. So that makes me go, well, as I podcast, I got to realize that we don't know what our last episode is going to be. So that's playing in my mind, first of all. Okay, so that's one level of, will I show up different to the microphone, realizing that this may be my last time? And would I show up with a different intent? Would my words be more thought out, more well planned, if I knew that this was my last opportunity to have time with you? So that's okay. So that's one level, right? Add in another level where we just recently acknowledged and remembered what happened 24 years ago. Man, that's a long time ago. 24 years ago was September 11th, and I can still remember that crystal blue sky, like no clouds, gorgeous. September morning. I knew exactly where I was. I knew exactly who I was with. I was with Rob McDonald. The two of us were driving to work and going to be working for the day together on a special project and listening on the radio and hearing the news. And how the world changed 24 years ago. And I'm like, well, I live in Canada. And yes, it was a global impact, but it was an American event. So do I get on the mic and do I talk about September 11th from my perspective 24 years later? And do I do an episode about that? Okay, so I have Todd Cochrane passing away. I then have September 11th, remembrance and honoring the amazing people who ran towards a horrific event when people were running in the opposite direction, trying to get away. There were people running up the stairs to help people when the buildings were coming down. And I'm like, I really want to talk about that as well. So it has nothing to do with podcasting though. Todd's passing has elements of podcasting attached to it. September 11th, not so much. And then we have what happened on campus with a public discourse, a debate where someone acted upon their beliefs in the moment and decided to end somebody's life because of what they said, believed, debated, and whether or not who you align yourself with and who you agree with. That's not part of what I'm talking about. It's just the fact that the one safe place to have a debate has always been university campuses, college campuses. We have professors, we have students, we have debate, we have dialogue, we have opinions, we have strong beliefs that we stand up for. We protest, we write up signs, we block traffic, we make a stand. That's always been part of post-secondary education. And that free, open discourse of the town square has been protected in the US and in Canada and democratic countries around the world. We have the opportunity to stand up and say, this is what I believe, this is my conviction, and I have the freedom to share this. And you have the freedom to disagree with me. And I need to acknowledge your disagreements. And you need to acknowledge my theories, my feelings, my opinion, my belief. And to have somebody who erases another human out of whatever motivation that is. Now I have this third event in this 1 week, and it's overwhelming. On top of that, my wife's brother, his wife passes away from a short battle with cancer. I have 4 major things that are in my mind. And here's my challenge, here's my thought. Do I do a podcast episode like this, or do I just let it all go and just move on? Just create a podcast about podcasting, Dave. That's why we're here. We're not here for all that other stuff. Here's what sparked it for me that made me go, maybe I need to do this. I listened to another podcast about podcasting, and their immediate comment the day after Charlie Kirk was assassinated was, we're not going to talk about this on the show. This is not what we do here. We're going to move on. We're not going to talk about it. End of story. Done. Boom. And in that moment, it felt like there wasn't a free and open discourse and a missed opportunity to check in with the people in the room, check in with the listeners, check in with the community, to see if everybody was okay. I don't think podcasting will solve the world's problems. I don't think that a podcast necessarily will change the world. The world is the world. I don't know if my comments help. I don't know if my comments hinder what's going on in the world. But my biggest thought in what's been happening for me is if I'm wrestling in my own life as a content creator, what are you wrestling with this week? It might not be to the extent that I have. It might be worse. It might even be worse than what I've been dealing with. But I wanted to check in with you. And here's my hope. That the words that we share through our podcast, by us showing up for our audience, even when we don't have answers, even when we have more questions than we have answers, we still show up. We build this relationship with our podcast community where we do life together. And as we do life together, we're going to talk in bad times and good times. But the one thing that unites us is the fact that we have podcasting. We have this community. We have each other. And even though we might wrestle with what I believe, what you believe, and what everyone else believes, the one thing unites us is we have the chance to share our thoughts. We have the opportunity to be us and be us in front of our community. Podcasting is a joyous, amazing opportunity. And whether you do this to entertain, to educate people, to inspire people, whether you do this to build community, make money, share your passions, whatever the reason is for why you do what you do, the one thing we have in common is each other. I want to make sure you're okay. I want to make sure that if you're struggling, you talk to somebody. If you are wrestling with what you believe, that you listen to other voices. You don't shut people down. You don't make people fit your mold. The beauty of our world is that we have different voices, and different voices aren't a threat. Different voices allow us to take a look inside to see if maybe there's something we can learn from each other. There's going to be people that we don't agree with. There's going to be people that we go, that's not my person. But at the end of the day, we are all people. We are all parents. We are all children. We are all brothers, sisters, friends, community members, human beings. And we can argue, we can disagree, we can debate with passion. But what we can't do is act out of anger, fear, frustration, misguided perceptions of what we think is right. There has to be some kind of line in the sand that says, this is a line that we don't cross. And what I'm finding as I watch the news, as I see things playing out in real time, is that line in the sand has really gotten very, very hazy, very foggy. It's almost indecipherable. We can't even see it anymore. That it's been trampled, covered up, and we don't really know where to step. There has to be something that is a common, agreed, and supported belief. Not dependent on whether we agree with each other, but the fact that we have this one thing in common: we're human beings. And I don't see that as common anymore. And I'm hoping that through the power of our words, by being positive, by being open to others, I have met so many amazing people through podcasting as guests, fellow podcasters, authors, people that the two of us would probably never interact with each other in real life. We could almost be opposites. But every time I get to meet what I would say would be an opposite of Dave, I'm a different person. I'm a better person for it. We still might not agree on everything. But what we can agree on is there's space for each other. And podcasting creates space. And what we do with this space is what matters. So my challenge for you is when you have the opportunity and you feel the need to do this, that you get onto the mic and you share something from your perspective that builds people up. I could get on here and rant and rave about what I believe in the moment, but that belief might change over time. The one thing that doesn't change is I value you. And I value our connection as humans. And again, even if you don't agree with everything that I say or what I believe or my education, my background, my upbringing, you might not agree with these things. But one thing we can agree on is that we have each other. I will always make space for you, and I hope that you'll make space for me. We need more listening, less arguing. We need more faith in each other and less frustration with each other. Open debate is the cornerstone of a healthy nation. And if we can't share our debates in public, if we can't agree to disagree, if we can't love and still stand for what we believe in, then what do we have? Where do we go from here? This podcast has never been political. This podcast has never been that type of podcast. It's not really what I do. Quite transparently, I'm not a very political guy. But what I am is super focused on our ability and our freedom to share what we think, believe, hold true through our podcast without the fear of someone taking action against us or family and doing something that alters history. That's what makes me nervous. My ask of everyone is to take a step back and understand what's good, what is fruitful, what will make a difference and what won't. And what won't make a difference is acting on your own and being your own judge and jury. We need to give each other space. And as podcasters, as humans, I think that we need a little bit more podcasting. We need a little bit more voices sharing their beliefs. We need a little bit more of us listening instead of being quick to act, quick to speak over, quick to dismiss. And we need more voices sharing more of their beliefs. We need less violence, and we need more acceptance and more room for people to navigate their beliefs. I don't think any one of us has come to a complete understanding of what we believe and what we know to be true. I think we're all students in life. And by living life, we develop a better sense of who we are, and how we fit into the big picture of what's going on in this world. I don't think any one of us has got to the finish line yet. So to act like we know everything is dangerous, because we're going to learn something new tomorrow we didn't know today. That's where podcasting comes in. That's where sharing our voice comes in. That's why content creation is so important right now. We have this opportunity through podcasting to share our message. So, as I deal with Todd's passing, amazing man in podcasting, as I deal with remembering the atrocities of September 11th, 24 years ago, as I look at what happened on that campus in Utah, as I see what's happening globally around the world with countries fighting and people starving, and there's just so much pain. I think, and you might think differently, but I think as podcasters, even if our show doesn't talk about these things, we owe our audience a check-in, because the companionship that happens in podcasting goes beyond content. It's you and I want to make sure you're okay. To share some of my thoughts in real time, as raw and unformatted as they are, is just Dave. And maybe a word here and there helps you, because that's the goal of my show. Yes, we talk podcasting. Great. But we also build community together, you and I. And I just wanted to check in and make sure you're okay. Keep podcasting. Keep sharing your message. And don't do it out of fear, and don't be afraid to share what you believe. But at the same time, don't shut other voices out that you don't agree with. It's not time to pick a side. It's a time to understand that there's a rich world out there that we can learn a lot from. So please, be receptive, be open, be kind. Mr. Bill Monty always talks about just be kind. And I think that's something we need to be. We need to be kind. Thanks for listening. We're back to our regular stuff coming up, but I really wanted to jump on and do this, and I appreciate you. Take care. Be safe. And be kind.